Yeah, let's start with Shake versus Sai's PK Clan. And we'll work our way down this huge mountain of the list. And I'm also not going to pause either to look at the map or anything, because obviously that'll take up way too much time, because as you know, we're going to be looking at tons of stuff right here. So anyways, first game, we got Shake as the Ottomans against Aizamk as the Chinese. This will be a really good duel. Two very strong civs, two very strong, well-known players here. Some that I've known for a very long time, so this is going to be a good matchup. What are we getting with the Ottomans? So Ottomans are sticking to what they know best: trading posts, mosque, house start. That's usually their strongest play, because if you know anything about the Ottomans in Age of Empires 3, they love to send tons of cards, crates, units. Ottomans are very shipment driven, so the best way that they get that facilitated right away, build a trading post so you're getting that experience every time this delivers along the route. Build a mosque, because in Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition, churches actually trickle experience points. In this case, 0.8, so you're getting a 0.8 XP trickle per second, and then you're getting those batches of 69 or so XP up here every time the Traveler comes through, so that's pretty good. And on the other side, we got the Chinese with Aizamk. Chinese, as you know, also usually build a trading post as part of their build order, because with the amount of wood that they get and kind of similar circumstances to the Ottomans, they also need to make sure that they get a ton of shipments, because really what you see whenever you're dealing with the Chinese is typically they will go for a really beefy spam of stuff pretty much. Yeah. Looks like the arrow keys are slowing down a bit over here, so I'll have to use my left hand here on the mouse pad, I think, probably, to do that. Yep. Alright, so look at this treasure here. That's a pretty good treasure whenever you can find one of them. The sunflower one. The sunflower one has about 110 food in it, and it's pretty easy to take out. I mean, coyotes, wolves are some of the easiest treasure guardians to destroy. Then all you have to do is stun the bandit rider, and he's pretty easy to beat down once you stun him or you use your ability on him. So honestly, to me, it's a pretty good freebie when it comes to food whenever you find one of those. So he got very lucky there on that. Obviously, Chinese do really good whenever they find a food treasure, since pretty much when you get a food treasure as a Chinese, it goes right into building your wonder right away. They are going to play by the standard. And by standard, I mean consulate with Russians enabled and going with the Summer Palace. I know there's some other Chinese players we've seen on the channel more recently that have used other wonders like the Porcelain Tower, but this guy sticks to the standard script. Pretty much the idea is you go Russian consulate so that you can get the blockhouse with the export. And how you can afford that is there's a card here that they added to Definitive Edition called the T-Export card. It gives you 100 export right away to spend, and then it gives you a consulate rickshaw, effectively saving you 200 wood. And on top of that, it adds an increased export trickle that you'll enjoy the rest of the game as well. So, all that in mind, you pretty much get an easy path to getting an early blockhouse from the Russian allies. And that blockhouse can not only defend the area like a tower, it can also train all of the banner armies. Not just some of them, not just the infantry ones, it can train all of the banner armies. So it's a really, really good way to getting a nice forward base down, a good defensive position, saving you 200 wood on the War Academy, potentially, depending on what your strategy is. It's really effective. So they're going to open up with a shipment of step riders, basically hand cavalry, great for raiding, also exceptional against crossbowmen, archers, anything like that. So that's probably why he's starting out with that. Go for some early pressure. Looks like he's already on professional hunters, which is the second hunting upgrade at the market there. One good thing to do with the Chinese, if you can, try to get your market up as soon as possible. It's very beneficial to you. Back on the Ottoman side, they are going for... trying to see. I think a fast fortress. Yeah, no, I see the chest of coin in the base. Going for the steel traps. Second hunting upgrade. This is telling me that we're getting a fast fortress. Also going for the 5 Uruk shipment, of course. So start with 700 coin followed by villager shipment. That's a very common fast fortress to do with the Ottomans. Basically, if you don't expect to need to build any defensive buildings, like a tower or a barracks, you can just go for 5 vills. That way you're getting a little bit of boom done on top of your fast fortress, so you can essentially get a bit ahead of the game, pretty much. Now, what the Step Riders are doing, which is pretty interesting, is they are actually attacking the house and not the villagers. There's a specific reason why it's doing that. The reason he's attacking the houses is because since the Ottomans are so shipment dependent, one way you can kind of prevent them from eating up a ton of shipments and building these big armies is strip them of their houses so they don't have the pop space to send a major shipment like Mamelukes or Falconets or Safahis. That's one way to slow the Ottomans down a bit when you know they're just going to garrison inside the TC anyways. You can at least hurt their population space and force them onto wood, which cuts down their time in villager seconds that they'll be able to spend on gold or food. So that's why you're seeing that over there. And from what we can see right now, Shake's doing a great job at defending these vills, you know. But I will say that loss of the house, that's going to force him onto some wood, you know. And that could be a potential issue, as we'll see. But who knows? He is Shake after all. He's a pretty legendary player in the AoE3 community. I've seen a number of his games before, and he's no slouch. He'll probably come back very strong after the loss of that house. That casa is. Oh, yup, 1 Uruk is down, so we're already seeing some casualties on the battlefield there. Some more Step Riders from the side over here. As you know, the Summer Palace for the Chinese does give you free banner armies, so guess what that means? You can get the standard army here, which includes Chukunu, your archer, and yes, more Step Riders. So even if you lose some in a raid from that shipment, you can obviously add a few back in from the Summer Palace block army there. So that's essentially what he did over there. As you can see, Ottomans right in age 3. What is he getting? He's getting Sublime Port. He's gonna convert all of his food into a greater amount of wood. Whoa. So, yeah. That's why he went with the 5 Uruks after all. He wasn't even concerned about wood at that point. Yeah. And it looks like he ended up going for the Ottoman age 3 age up. It gives him free hand cavalry here because now he has some delis. The delis are a little bit different than hussars, so they're not as strong as the hussar per se, but they have a faster rate of attack of about 2.5. Standard hand attack on those cavalry is a little bit slower, so these guys actually well, wait a minute, no, I'm looking at the siege tag. What am I doing? It's 1.2. Hand attack of 2.5 on a hand cavalry would be garbage, by the way. That would be really bad. 1.2 on the other hand is better than average because the average hand attack on a hand cav is about 1.5 and it's actually 1.2, so they slice really fast into the unit, and the longer they're alive, the more value they're going to get in that fight specifically. Okay, so we do see a stable up with all that wood as well as a foundry and probably any houses, and also a town center too. Oh, and they's going to get a 3rd town center, so he took all that wood, which I believe was like 2,000 or something like that, because he had about 1.5k food, and then he got a greater amount of wood. He ended up making 2 town centers, which is 1.2, actually 1,000 wood, because the 5th edition makes the TCs a bit cheaper than the old costs. Then he got a stable down, he got a foundry down. He's all set. He's all set. Sorry. Are you ready? Yes. So I guess he had the pause. Oh man, so delis have to get out of here. They're getting surrounded. He actually called his sentries to stop a potential raid. Step Riders here though we're raiding a bit. Looks like he's got some Kijiks as well from a banner army that he made from his blockhouse. That's essentially your cav archers, by the way. Good against cavalry, good against artillery. Well, actually, these guys don't have any multipliers against artillery. I've never noticed that before about Kijiks. So they're really only good against Hussars, I think. Yeah, so what Ottoman is going to do, which I think is a pretty good combination, is go Abyss Gunner, Cav Archer. That's a pretty common archetype we see a lot in Age of Empires 3. Going with Skirmishers for infantry, in this case Abyss Gunners for the Ottomans, and then go for their light cav unit from the stable. And what that does is it allows you a lot of flexibility with your anti-cav, so that you can quickly chase down hand cavalry, you can quickly maneuver around to protect those skirms, and then the skirms are just range unit domination on the battlefield. In the case of the Ottomans, though, it's even more telling because, as you know, Abyss Gunners deal crush damage and not pierce damage. So there's a lot more things that Abyss Gunners can completely shred. That includes Skirmishers. Because this Abyss here does about 43 crush damage, and it eats right through all this pierce armor on the Arquebusier. So it only takes about like 3 shots, I think, to like insta shoot down an Arquebusier for the Chinese. The one problem with the Chinese is that all their units, for the most part, are very flimsy and not that good. And I'm just gonna shut that off. But in general, the Chinese very paper tiger type units, you know. So if you have a good unit like a mercenary, Abyss Gunner, artillery, or whatever, pretty much they're going to be good at shredding those units really finely, I would say. Oh boy, look what China just got. They got a really good shipment over there. This is a shipment that I see a lot of people get. It's called the Beiyang Army. So what this gives you 8 Step Riders, 8 Kijiks, and then it gives you their veteran upgrades for free. That's a really good value because it gives you a nice solid mass of cavalry, and it saves you that 200 wood and 100 gold costs, essentially propelling you pretty well to using those cavalry for the rest of the game, at least from the Fortress Age. So we got Abyss and Cav Archers trying to defend. Those Step Riders are trying really hard to break through this middle area to hit the Abyss, and they've had a little bit of success. Oh man, up! We got more Step Riders just forcing their way through there onto the Abyss. Look at that. And now we got Cav Archers and Abyss trying to hold this defensive line here, and we got Falconets in the back as well from the home city. One of the strongest shipments that the Ottomans can do is the 2 Falconet one in the Fortress Age. That and their hand cavalry shipments, their Sifahi ones and their Mamluk ones. But those ones do cost resources as well, so you have to be, you know, acutely aware of that when you time those. What will China do is retaliation here. So China, if we get over here, they have a Flying Crow that's coming out of their academy right now. They're shipping in meteor hammers. They're switching to territorial army. So the Changdaos and the Arquebusiers. Summer Palace is still on standard army, which is a pretty fast training one compared to some of the more expensive ones. And yeah, so China's going to have to get some troops together really fast. Because as you can see here, Ottomans are right on their tail. And they got a pretty established army. They got anti-cav, they got anti-infantry, and they got 2 pieces of artillery. Plus these few emergency units here with 1 HP, these Bashi Bazooks. Though these guys will go down in 1 hit, they could provide some good range support if you don't target them right away. So it's a pretty motley crew of troops right here. And they actually did take out a village. A village for the Chinese gives the Chinese about 20 population, and then some if they continue to upgrade the population slots in it through the technology. So losing a village is no joke, you know. That can house the Chinese pretty severely if they're not careful. Thankfully they got a bit of a nest egg here of 95 pop still, so that should be good. Also, they'll lose some population from losing the blockhouse, by the way, too, since it provides a little bit as well. Yep, went down to 90. So yeah, I don't know what China's going to do here. It looks like they're kind of behind the wheel. You know, they got a couple skirmish. Couple of free step riders, the meteor hammer shipment, the flying crow. Not a lot of good stuff here. So this is very, very bad. Very bad. So Eastern medicine here. This is going to make the villagers a little bit more durable and less likely to be down by all this range stuff steamrolling through their base. And yeah. So falconets are right on top of that consulate there. And yeah, that structure should be down. Going for repelling volley. Honestly, this will only help against the cav archers. Yeah, because what it does is it gives your Trukanu and your Arquebusier more multipliers against the dragoons and against the muskets. So if you don't have any sort of heavy inf on the field, it's only half useful at this stage. But unfortunately, he doesn't have any good unit shipments available, right? Unfortunately, he can't send the Manchu. That would probably be a little bit better because it's at least boots on the ground, but yeah, no, GG. He's totally outgunned there pretty much. This is something we see a lot with the Ottomans, you know. The Ottomans, their units can be a little pricey at times, but they hit really hard. You know, the Abyss Gunners, they're like the mix between skirmisher and artillery. They will eat through units' armor, especially infantry, very easily. And if you don't deal with them early on, if you don't hard push them, they'll just make you lose very quickly. So that's what we saw there. Good job there, Shake. You did an excellent job on that one. As a reminder to people watching these games, at this stage of the tournament, they're all best out of ones, right? So there's no best out of 3, best out of 5. We're not into that step yet. So these are just single games against players, pretty much. So every game we cover tonight is going to be a different matchup, you know, different matchup between people. We're not going to see the same people fighting each other multiple times. It's going to be a fresh experience every time, which is, I think, pretty cool, you know. So if you don't like a matchup in particular, at least you're going to get to enjoy